Welcome everybody to Go Local Live. It is Friday morning in a rainy but warm downtown Providence. Joining me via Skype is Rebecca Couto da Silva from Bolzano, Italy. This is our second Skype in to Go Local. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Rebecca, Italy is now sort of the poster child globally. The number of those who have passed away in Italy tied to the coronavirus now has surpassed the total number of those who have passed away in China. A daunting number, as Italy has 61 million residents, and China obviously has about 1.6 billion. You're in northern Italy on the German border, correct me, and much more isolated from some of the hot spots, but what's the overall tenor there in your community?
Yeah, it's just really, really sad to see just lines of a military caravan full of bodies that they can't process is devastating. It is devastating. And so it is the border with Austria, and it's and we speak German here as well as Italian. But yeah, here it's growing.
English.
Yeah, yeah. The trilingual University of Bolzano. You have to show you can speak all three before they let you out. But yes, it's absolutely devastating, and just to see 900 people pass away in 2 days, and to know that people were still getting sicker. When we spoke last time, it seemed like the number of new infections was leveling off, and that might not be the case after yesterday. So it's really, really tough, and it's just devastating. It's heartbreaking.
The Italian government is now speaking out, saying that they're going to implement potentially even more restrictions. You've been in a little bit of a lockdown. There's some movement allowable that you went over last week, but it may get more restrictive over the next few days and weeks. Do you have a sense of what those new restrictions are going to be?
Well, there's actually been a little bit of loosening too, which is nice. Like, you can get pizza takeout tonight in my little village. So you can, for 3 nights, we can order pizzas. And that's a first in, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 10 days. But it seems like they might prohibit outside exercise, which is really sad, because one of the problems is not that people are going out and maintaining distance exercising, it's that people are going out and congregating. Right. And it's just like, you have to stop people from, a lot of people from doing something healthy that they're doing in a healthy way, because it's just too much to enforce the rule to say, okay, now there's a crowd, and you've got to stop the crowds. They've got to stop it. You don't want more caravans of bodies, right? Another thing they might do is to stop, to close grocery stores early, or to close them on Sundays to prevent crowds from forming. Grocery shopping is so delicate because, first of all, a lot of people don't have cars, so there's a weight issue, right? And you go out repeatedly if you can only carry so much weight, and perhaps the older you are or the sicker you are, the less weight you can carry, and the less you want to be out. So it's a really tough situation, but yeah, they might limit those hours a little bit more.
Rebecca, over the last week or so, an Italian doctor at the front line, Marcello Natali, I believe, forewarned of what's taking place in Italy, and really spoke to the world. His communication, his video went global. We learned today that in the last 24 hours, he, a frontline experienced physician, has passed away from the coronavirus, raising more concerns about exposure for healthcare workers. Your thoughts about, you're there, you're seeing what we're going to get in about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, as almost a tidal wave here in America. Your thoughts of what healthcare workers are doing there in Italy to try and save lives?
Well, one thing first of all, they're all heroes, right? Just to go in there and to be exposed and to work while sick, which is, if everybody has it, then the healthcare workers um, uh, had been, I don't know if they still are, but sometime had been still working. But then, we had to have some valves for respirators printed, 3D printed, right? Which was something that happened. As a lawyer, I know that those valves actually had intellectual property protection. So that's an issue that, really policymakers should think about that now. If the owner of the patent can't get you the valves, can you just go ahead and print them? Are you going to get sued later?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of decision making that is going to be act now, deal with the ramifications later as this pandemic touches so much of the world. From you're a mom. You have I believe a 10-year-old daughter. How is life working forward? Last week you said she's been much of her time's consumed by reading the Harry Potter books. We may need to send out an emergency signal to J.K. Rowling to write more books to
Please.
keep children occupied. How's your daughter doing with all this?
She's still doing really well. She really enjoys being able to, we're both a bit of a late riser, late to bed, late to rise. So for her to be able to wake up at 8 and to do her schoolwork at her own pace, she's really enjoying that. What she's not enjoying is the fact that I'm letting her set her own pace, that I'm not really acting as an officer. It means that she's working 6.5 days a week instead of 5. So, but I think that that's a great lesson in responsibility for her, because she's got a certain amount of work that she has to do. And if she spends her day, today she has actually spent it on Harry Potter in defiance of everything I've asked. But she knows that she's got stuff to email in by Sunday night. So I think it's great in terms of responsibility. Obviously, the elementary school especially, but all school is about social connections. It's about learning how to deal with conflict. It's about friendships. So that part's missing. And kids, they're very in person. We can send text messages and they have their WhatsApp groups and they send their memes, but it's not the same as getting to see each other every day, having a friend stop by on the way to school to pick you up. It's not the same.
You are not going to call the polizia in to restrict that Harry Potter reading, correct? You will,
No, I can. I'll find the Kindle and tuck it somewhere safe.
What's your lesson that you'd want Americans to hear from you? You're 2 weeks, really maybe 3 weeks ahead. We still have not implemented a lockdown per se in the Northeast. California's governor implemented one yesterday by executive order. 40 million Californians are restricted to their homes, except for going out for shopping, necessary work, and exercise. What's your lesson? You're 3 weeks ahead of us. What's your suggestion to folks here?
I would say really follow those physical distancing rules, because if you don't, then the policymakers are going to have to come down harder. And it's not only that, but it's, if you don't, you put more people in danger. That's the number one important thing. But in terms of, the way people go on living their lives thinking, okay, I can do this because it's allowed, avoid the congregation. If, a sneeze travels 2 meters, they say for here, so 6 feet, they say here, maintain 3 feet. I say maintain 6 because you could always sneeze, right? The other day I went for a run and I saw someone and I gave him a huge berth. I don't know how many meters, but I ran out in the middle of a deserted street and he gave me 2 thumbs up. And, it was just one of those things that's how you behave. But there's just such a temptation to think, I'm young, I'm not sick, or or something. And it's like, we are seeing people in their 40s on respirators. Because they don't die doesn't mean that they're not a statistic. And people have contact with vulnerable people all the time. And you don't know if you're going to be vulnerable or not. You don't know if you pass someone on the street and you're too close, if you could wind up passing that person the virus, and they're extremely vulnerable. Vulnerable people don't necessarily look vulnerable.
Right. Rebecca, thank you again for joining us via Skype. I think this is wildly helpful. We've gotten a lot of positive response from being able to hear from you. As I said, you guys have, there in Italy, have the advantage or the disadvantage, depending on the situation, of being ahead from a time standpoint of where exactly the coronavirus is developing and how it develops. Please stay safe. Good luck to you and your daughter, and we'd love to connect with you again next week. We'll be in touch on that. Thank you so much. Quick programming note. Dr. Fine will be on with us at 12 noon discussing some developments, especially what's going on in California. At 1 p.m., Governor Gina Raimondo will be having her daily update. We'll be bringing you that live as well. And then this afternoon at 3 o'clock, we're going to have Josh Short from Wilbury Theater. GoLocal is partnering them to bring live performances from the Wilbury to Rhode Island. That will start on Sunday night. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back at 12 o'clock with Dr. Fine. Appreciate you tuning in.